Hi, everybody. Rick DiClemente from the Pittsburgh area. Thanks for joining us on Astrology Unplugged. Tonight's going to be very simple and straightforward. I'm going to be reading 3 charts. And why? Why? Because people that attend regularly, I like to have them at least hear about their chart a good bit. Did I have my second eye surgery? It was scheduled yesterday, and there was a snowstorm, so I canceled till next week. But my right eye is doing fine, thank you. And the left eye is next week, so the hard stuff's over. Anyhow, I want to not get lost. I don't want this group to get lost in celebrity and politics. We can do our thing, but what this group is about is how to read a chart. Because there are lots of people that can talk about the chart. There are lots of people that know pieces of the chart, but you need to constantly see the process of going through the chart, what I like to call finding the story in the chart. If this is the first time you've joined us, thank you, because we are repeated and installed on YouTube every Friday under Rick DiClemente Unplugged. If you'd like to join us any Thursday night, 8 o'clock live, to find the links, all you need to do is go to my website, which is starself.com, or you can go to starself.com/unplugged, and that will give you the links. Tonight we will be doing the charts of Sherry, who's available to us over the phone, a remarkable chart, and a good friend of mine, Marsha, up in NYC, will be doing her chart, and Angel, who is a really powerful tarot reader here in the Pittsburgh area, from Puerto Rico originally. I haven't seen him in a while, but good to have you all with us. So I'm going to get right into it. Hi, Susan in California. Hello, everybody. I wanted to know, a show of hands, anybody feeling extra moody today, yesterday, tomorrow? I'm feeling it exceptionally. I'm going to show you why it's happening. In other words, when you pay attention to the public discussion about astrology, as most of the public knows 2 things: that Mercury goes retrograde and it's a pain in your ear, and it's going retrograde tomorrow, but it's really minor compared to the other planets. It's still a pain. And another thing people remember is the moon going void. I'm not even going to talk about it. Another minor thing. You'll notice in the public, they deal with very personal planets. The sun sign, moon, Mercury. I talk about the big boys: Saturn, Pluto, Uranus, slow-moving major planets. What's going on right now is this. I'll show you quickly. Here's why the moodiness is happening, all right? Let me make sure it gets on your screen. I got my monitor here. All right, here it is. Okay. Now, the reason things are heavy duty is because of Pluto. Okay? This has been going on since 2008. It's going to go till 2023. And during the midst of that, in about 2020, Pluto is going to return back to where it was in 1776. So that whole Pluto return is this major uproar that you can feel throughout the planet. This major shift of an era. It's the major plate tectonics. It's a major shift of an era. It doesn't take place overnight. It's the underlying theme. So beside the fact that this Pluto is constantly hit by other planets, left alone by other planets, hit again, what's happening is this Mars is approaching Pluto. This Mars is approaching Pluto. It's just entered Capricorn. It's approaching Saturn right now. These are heavy-duty energies, and Mars will be a degree away from Pluto on April 24th. This is why when I did my year-ahead preview, I talked about one date of the whole summer, of the whole year, and it was April 24th. Why? Because Mars always triggers 1 degree away. So when Mars gets to within 1 degree of Pluto on April 24th, you're going to find more of these issues coming out. more of your deep-seated issues resurfacing, old emotional junk that you haven't resolved yet, old emotional junk that you haven't resolved yet. As a person, as a family, as a country, as a planet. So given that, the reason it's moody right now is because these planets are traveling in a bucket pattern. All these planets are in like a fan shape. And the moon is breaking loose. The moon has been breaking loose the last few days. And over the next 10 days, the moon is going to travel through here. And as the moon travels through here, this is not a full moon story. This is a big deal. As the moon travels through here, it will be forming what's called the handle to the bucket pattern. So the moon is accentuated here, 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 even here. So this is going to be about the next 10 days. And when this moon, in about 2 days, when the moon gets into Cancer, talk about moody. Well, don't just shake your head about moodiness. Moodiness can be painful and mournful, but it's also a really good thing when the moon goes through such a stressful time because it makes you deal with your emotions. So if you're getting moody, don't just put a mental glib Band-Aid on it. These are times when you really need to settle how you feel. I don't like how I'm feeling. I need to change the things that are doing it. Well, we all know what we need to do, but it's got to do with getting yourself emotionally set. All right. So it's going to go on for 10 days. That's really not all I'm going to say about today's chart. I'm going to get right into Sherry's chart. All right. Sherry, can you hear me? I got to make sure she's audible. No, where is Sherry at? Sherry is, I cannot hear Sherry. I don't know why. So I'm just going to hope that you're listening. We're having trouble with your chart and we'll just go forward. All right. Okay. Here is Sherry's chart. Okay. Jupiter high in the sky. The sun is in Leo. The moon is in Pisces. She is a Leo with Venus in Leo. The moon is in Pisces. This is a remarkable chart, and I'm telling you again, this is not happenstance. See, this chart could not have been read on a show a month ago. It could not have been read on a show yesterday or next week. It had to be today. Because of what the planets are doing to the chart is what reveals it. I don't even know what the story is yet. But the first thing I notice about her chart that's remarkable is the Mercury. Mercury is right between Uranus and Pluto, and you pay attention to how close. Zoom in with your eyeballs. Uranus is at 4, Pluto is at almost 11. So the Mercury is almost exactly at the midpoint. This is the very powerful energies, Uranus and Pluto, in 1963. This started to whip up the collective in 1960. The Uranus-Pluto conjunction came together in the 60s, peaked on October the 8th of 1965. That was the peak of it, of the 60s, the revolution of the 60s. In 1960, it peaked in 65. It started to fade in 1971. Now, I've done hundreds of people who were born with Uranus and Pluto together. In this case, in 1963, Uranus was approaching Pluto. Uranus is the faster moving planet. What that means, it doesn't mean how fast the planet's moving. It means how fast it's going through the zodiacal signs. So this is called the faster moving planet, even if Pluto's faster, because Pluto's orbit's much bigger. So this Uranus was approaching Pluto, and this is back in the day, and I remember people were saying, these guys got long hair. Next thing you know, they're going to be shooting heroin in their arm, and they're going to drive our girls crazy, and everybody's going to get pregnant. Oh, my God, they're wearing bell-bottoms. The whole damn world's going to come apart. My friends were thrown out of school for wearing bell-bottoms. I remember that. So this was exactly the revolution, and thank God, for a lot of people, it was happening in the sign of Virgo. The revolution of the 60s was in the sign of Virgo, which is why you had it manifest through LBJ, the Virgo, and why you had down-to-earth things like unions and Medicare and Medicaid, black rights, women's rights, and voting rights, and all that stuff. So as these two were approaching, people were saying, oh my God, it's going to blow. Oh my God, it's going to blow. And they were right. And by the 8th of October, 1965, is when these two planets joined. And then as Uranus passed by, it was still in conjunction. So the whole period of the 60s. So I have a lot of people that have these two in their chart, and they have Saturn over here. The moon just happened to be involved, and Mercury happened to be involved in this woman's chart. But in many cases, it's Uranus and Pluto and Saturn. Okay, now what's remarkable is the Mercury is the planet of your mind. Mercury in Virgo for a Leo. Leos are very creative, sunny people. Mercury in Virgo means you have a good, strong, analytical mind. Black versus white, analytical, make choices. But you're not born with Mercury between these two planets, heavyweight Uranus, heavyweight Pluto, unless you can handle it. This woman has a very powerful mind. Now, it's very significant. I'm going to tell you clearly. It's very significant that she's not joining us visually. It's very significant that we cannot link to her. Did you notice everybody else is linked? We can't link to her in order on her chart. This is symbolic. This is not because of me. This is because of Sherry. What this means is Sherry wants to hear what this is about, but she doesn't want to hear. She wants to hear this story, but she doesn't. And it's very normal. A lot of us want to hear something, but we don't want to hear it. And when I get static, or the line breaks down, or there are disruptions, or there are interruptions, that's because I'm going to go places in Sherry where the ego doesn't want to hear it, but she does. But she doesn't, but she does. And that's very normal. Keep that in mind. Watch how she's been with us. Notice how she's been with us for weeks, and we can hear her and see her, and she'll be that way fine next week, but she's not here now. All right. Anyhow, needless to say, when you have a Mercury next to Uranus, you have a brilliant mind. This woman is brilliant mentally. She may not think so, especially with a moon in Pisces, which is kind of demure and doesn't like a lot of focus on her, even though she's Sun and Venus in Leo. Sun and Venus likes a lot of attention, not a moon in Pisces. Okay, so we know that this is very special. This is very special. Mercury-Pluto is a mind that is very deep and penetrating, like a psychologist. Mercury-Uranus is somebody who's very inventive, out there, can think on astrological realms easily. But put it between these two, I mean, when a planet comes by and hits this Mercury, between these two right here, things really get stirred up. So I still haven't found her story yet because I am worried about it because I know it will reveal itself to us. Now, you got to pay attention to the orb. Orb is very important. Orb means how close two planets are together. Are they 0 degrees apart, 1 degree apart, 7 degrees apart? We usually use 9 as a general rule. There is no fixed number. For beginners, it's usually pretty good to use 9 for your aspects. It depends on how sensitive you are, what planets are involved. Notice right opposite this 4 degrees, 6 degrees, 10 degrees is the moon. We've got the birth time at 4:22 in the afternoon, in the morning, I'm sorry. So we know the moon is pretty accurate, around 10, 11 degrees. Right across the zodiac from 11 degrees is Pluto. So this opposition here of these three planets, opposite two planets, primarily is based upon the moon opposite Pluto. And remember now, I'm not just reading Sherry's chart, I'm also teaching about astrology. I'm doing both. Let me try once again to see if I can get her.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you hearing me?
Oh, okay. I can see you and hear you. Yes. Hello.
Okay, I'm wondering if you can see me. Huh. I don't see you yet. Okay, just hang tight. Have you been listening so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me ask you some questions, Sherry.
Okay.
What do you do for an occupation?
I'm self-employed. I've had to be self-employed since 2010. I haven't been able to successfully hold down a regular job since I left the Navy in 1991.
Okay, when you were in the Navy, what did you do?
Well, I was a dental assistant mainly. I wasn't really dedicated to the military. I've always been a very free spirit. That Uranus in my second house and my stellium, I'm very hard-headed and stubborn. And
I just told the computer to ask you to
Yes, I see it. Okay.
All right.
Do you see me?
Yeah, all right. I want you to try to answer the questions briefly because I don't want to lose my rhythm with you.
Oh, okay.
So you were in the Navy, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hold tight now. We're going to get to a lot of things. Your chart is extremely powerful mentally. Really, really powerful mentally. Almost to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if you stuttered sometimes because your mind's going so fast that your body's public. That's not a Leo trait. That's going on because of your Mercury placement. Now, when your moon is opposite Pluto, which is the center of that aspect, that's a very difficult thing to translate. What I've often said is, hi, puppy dog. What I've often said, the moon opposite Pluto is one of the toughest, maybe the toughest aspect to translate. What it usually means, especially since it's exact, is that there was not an appropriate separation between you knew who you were emotionally and your mother knew who she was. There was confusion between the healthy line between you and your mom. Is that true?
Yes, my mother.
Hold on. Yeah. What sign was she?
Oh, she was a Capricorn sun.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you a simple question because if not, we get lost in all these tributaries.
Okay.
When you were around her, when you were little, how did you feel next to her?
I don't know how to answer that. My mother was severely addicted to narcotics. I was left alone a lot. She was very weak.
Hold on. Now I want to show everybody something. Did you notice I asked the question, pause, 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 think, think, think? That's because she had so much trauma with the mother, indicated by the moon Pluto, that she had to block her emotions and she had to think about how she felt because it wasn't safe to just feel something and express it. Whenever you get a client that has to think, that means they're not going to tell you exactly how they feel because in the past, if they felt something expressed it, they got slapped for it. It doesn't mean a physical slap, but it could have been a mental slap, an emotional slap, but it shows you whenever somebody pauses a lot when I ask that question, which is why I stated thusly, between the ages of 5 and 15, how did you feel when you were with her?
Insecure.
She started to describe how her mother was, but she didn't answer the question, which is how did you feel? Now you said insecure, unsafe, is that right?
Yes, very.
Okay. Why did you feel unsafe with her?
Because she was unconscious a good part of my life. She would knock herself into unconsciousness. She was severely addicted to a dangerous prescribed narcotic called Soma, and she was unconscious a lot of the times. It was very strange.
Okay, now we've got a lot to cover here. Would you say it's accurate to say that she was not available to you emotionally?
Absolutely.
Okay, and when you are a moon in Pisces, and you are a sun in Leo, and you are Venus in Leo, you need a lot of attention. And Leo children need a lot of kudos, a lot of good strokes, a lot of Sherry. That was really good. How did you do that? Sherry, tilt your camera down a little, please.
Oh.
So I can see. There you go. Thank you. Now I'm going to tell you my opinion. My opinion is in my opinion, you chose this mother on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
This mother chose to be with you on purpose. Now, did you notice something? How I started to tell you, Sherry's not with us visually. Sherry's not with us on the soundtrack. Now she is. And I told you it's because she didn't want to hear what I had to say. But I told you another part of her does want to hear what I got to say. Well, that thing's going back and forth, and that's totally normal. But now she's ready. And this is really terrific. But when your moon is opposite Pluto like this, it usually means the moon, it usually means that I had a girlfriend one time. It took me 3 years. 3 years to figure out her moon opposite Pluto. It took me 3 years to figure out what it meant. I finally did. It's how difficult this is. Because what it translates to is the mother owns your emotions. We don't know how. We don't know what the story is, and it definitely goes to the past life. All right? But the mother owns your emotions. Now, when Pluto is opposite the sun, they own your identity. When Pluto is opposite your Mercury, they make you feel insecure mentally. When it's opposite your Venus, it makes you feel insecure socially. Opposite your Mars, makes you insecure, emasculated in terms of action. So we know that there's a karmic bond between her and the mother. And one of the tricks to reading a chart is don't try to do too much right away. Let it sit there. We don't know a lot about this story yet. Don't try to fill the blanks in and sound like a genius. Let it sit there. Go back to the chart and explore. Okay. Thank you for being patient with me. I know this is not easy. All right. So we know the moon is really critical. 1046, Pluto's 1055. It's too close. It's too close. And what Pluto does to a planet, Pluto is, well, you're not strong enough. Well, you're whining all the time. Well, how come you're not stronger? What's the problem? How come you're not brave enough? You're not brave enough. Don't you have the emotional strength to stick with this, to keep up with this? These are the things that this poor child felt. And it probably was something her mother had no idea she was doing. And what I've learned, it wasn't the mother. This is all from a past life, or a series of past lives. And the mother is playing a role. Now, does that make sense to you, Sherry? A feeling of no matter what I feel, it's not okay with you.
Oh, yes, that makes sense. Yes.
Okay. Now, before we go too far, did you stay with her until you were 20? How long did your relationship last?
Well, I left to join the Navy when I was 19. I moved out temporarily when I was 18, and my mother died in November of 1993 suddenly.
When you were how old?
Oh, I think I had just turned 30.
Okay, all right. During your Saturn return, approximately. What sign, is your father alive?
No, he died in 2001. He was a Leo.
Okay, how did you feel when you were with your daddy?
Horrible, unloved, unwanted.
Did you feel
ashamed?
Did you feel that he wanted all the attention, you couldn't have any?
Yes.
Okay. Leos can be that way. You can also have the other type of Leo. It's very generous, very warm, very supportive. So you're growing up as a typical Leo, needing a lot of affection, not getting any. And the trick with Leo is to turn from getting all my kudos and my validation outside of myself, eventually learning to get my validation from inside myself. And I'll tell you now, there's no doubt in my mind, this is the turning point for you now. This is definitely, and I do this all the time, you are halfway through your life right now.
Yes.
I'm not talking about years. I'm talking about you had to go through all that crap, and now you're starting to live for yourself.
Right.
So what you do when you do this is you mark where the planets are now. Because where the planets are right now, as if a child were born right now, is symbolic of what your second half of your story is going to be like. Because what's happening now is you're approaching the point where you're ready to give up the story. You're approaching the point because Leos do what? Leos do, you should have gave me that. You should have gave me that. I needed it. You didn't give it to me. I should have gave me it. You didn't give it to me. Why didn't you give it to me? Blah, blah, blah. And that does a lot of damn good for you, doesn't it? And it's true. Sherry's true. She should have. She should have, but she couldn't, right?
Right.
She should have, but she couldn't. Dad was busy being a little kid himself. So you got two little babies trying to raise you.
Right.
Okay, let's go back to the chart. This is very typical. All right, let's go back and take a look here. You have Cancer rising. Okay, and the way you find the ruling planet of a chart, the ruling planet of a chart is you find the rising sign. The rising sign is Cancer. What planet rules Cancer? Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the ruling planet of Sherry is the moon in Pisces in the 9th house. The moon in Pisces in the 9th house rules this whole chart. Now, why is that significant? I'll tell you why. Because Neptune has just gone through here. Chiron has just gone through here. And what's happening with Sherry, with her smarts, and how do I say this? In some ways, Sherry would be better off if she weren't so smart. Because she can't get herself. She's too smart. She can't get herself. Mars is very powerful because it's right on the line here at 6 degrees. I'm using my one eye that can see, my one eye that can't. Okay, look at the big T-square to Neptune. See the sun opposite Saturn? T-square to Neptune. Okay, the sun is 14, Saturn is 20. It's retrograde. That usually means, and it's not always, so don't jump to conclusions, that usually means that the father was not available.
Yeah.
But usually Saturn, it means he was busy on the road, you had to move a lot, he had to go to work a lot, etc., etc. But we have reason to believe here that the mom and dad were both not available.
Yes.
Okay. So what did you have brothers and sisters?
I had one older sister. She was 9 years older than me. She had a different father, and she helped raise me before she got married.
Okay, now I'm going to hurry this reading up a little bit because I want to do all three of you. But so far, I'm going to tell you that your chart's going by normally. But I'm going to go quickly right to your past life chart, which I call, in my working, I call it the spiritual transcript. So when you meet with a spirit guide or your guardian angel in between lives, you go over, you review your life. You've heard this. And this chart called the 12th harmonic is a derivative of the birth chart, and it's going to tell us why you've got these Moon-Pluto issues. So I could tell you right now before I even look at it, it's about this. It's about the past lives. You were bombarded, like so many of us were, with spiritual, religious guilt. You're not pure enough. You don't go to church enough. You're not doing the right breathing exercise. You're not eating the right food. Well, you're a sinner. Saved a wretch like me. Saved a wretch like me. You don't even realize you're singing a damn song. I'm not saying those words again. Nobody saved me because I never was a wretch. But we sing it, don't we? Saved a wretch like me. The past life is full of dogma. It's full of stuff, making you feel guilty, making you go to church. You're a woman. Keep your mouth shut. Put your money in the plate. That's changing now. We're in the middle of a GD revolution. It's not just anti-Trump. It's not just pro-America. It's not just the Mediterranean and the Arab Spring. This is a revolution of consciousness happening now, where we don't want to hear it anymore. And if you're going to preach religious, spiritual stuff to me, then give me a chance. Make it winnable. Don't no longer give me this crap where I lose all the time. That's where your chart is now, Sherry. You're done with it. And see, with a moon in Pisces, I got one myself. With a moon in Pisces blames themselves, crawl back up on the cross. It's me. Must have been something I did. Oh, no, no, no. It's over with. You're done. You know that's not real. It's not true. So something in that 12th harmonic, something's getting bombarded right now, which is symbolic of you busting free of this. Let's go take a look at the past life. All right. Sharing. This is really remarkable stuff. Okay, here is your, I gotta paint the screen again just so you can see it. I've not even seen this, so. Here is, okay. Here is the past life chart. All right. Now, did you notice the interruption?
What? I'm not answering it.
Yeah, but did you notice the interruption?
Yes,
It's not.
I did.
It's the subconscious mind saying, "Oh man, we're going to expose this stuff. Well, maybe I could get her on another line. Let's try to break this up." That's what causes it. When the client's really ready to hear this, there are no interruptions. Okay, past life. Look at the very top of this chart. Sun in Virgo, Chiron in Virgo. I'm really good at what I do. I'm a master of what I do, right? Mars, Mercury. Mars, Mercury. Okay, so what it looks like to me in the past life is you were really skilled, maybe a nurse, maybe a doctor, but you were extremely versatile with all the Gemini energy. But I think it's one of these charts. This is very simple. Here's the moon, Pluto in the 8th house. Moon, Pluto, 8th house is heavy emotional stuff. It's very clear to me what this means. It means that you were going through some emotional kind of hell for a long time. And I'm telling you, it's very normal. An awful lot of us have this. So what did you do? Because you got to do something to try to survive. You became good at what you did, and you kept the ball. You kept the ball bouncing. You kept the juggling going on. You know these people, stay busy, stay busy, stay busy. Hey, stay busy, stay busy. So you don't have to feel the pain. You don't have to deal with the moon Pluto issues, the grave, harsh emotional stuff. So you just kept the plate spinning, kept the balls bouncing, and that's the way that you survive. So you take this lifetime, and in my opinion, you take this lifetime and you say, I've had it. I'm going to have it out. Moon Pluto. I'm having it out in this lifetime. I'm done with this. I'm going to face it down. And you put the Mercury right between Uranus and Pluto, which means you're brilliant and you got the mind to do it. So you've gone through emotional hell. There's no doubt. But it's because you're ready. It's because you're ready. And what's happened the last couple of years, damn it, what's happened the last couple of years is Neptune has come along and opposite those Virgo planets, and Neptune has supported you and said, yes, you're right. And it's very painful to hear your answer because it's easier to just keep going, oh, it ain't working. Oh, it's not working. Oh, it's not working. It's not working. Instead, Neptune says, you're right, Sherry. Yes, you're right, Sherry. Yes, you're right. Now you got the extra load of having to do it without anybody to blame. Your response?
I agree.
Tell me how you're feeling about this issue. This is a central issue.
Well, I actually was looking forward to Neptune conjuncting my moon and Chiron because they're trine in my chart. And I love Neptune, and the past couple of years have been wonderful. And yes, I've just decided that I wanted to grow spiritually, and I wanted to be closer to God, and I wanted to be grateful, and I wanted to help others, and yeah.
Fabulous. That's a fabulous answer. And you've forgiven your mom and dad?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you the long story short, that's just tremendous news. And what I've learned from this, and I'm taking a 70-minute reading and breaking it down to 30. What I've learned from this kind of thing is this. You're not only breaking through this stuff, and you're going to spend the rest of your life doing what this whole thing symbolizes. In other words, you're going to be empowered to help others now break free of this being raised with no support. You're going to be, you have to have trauma to decide, you have to look at your trauma to know what your mission is. Because your mission has to be tied to your trauma, because that's where you get the gas. And your gas and what you care about is these poor little kids aren't getting any damn support. And that's where your heart is. Is that right?
Yes, I always told my son bad parenting made me a better parent.
You're damn right. You're damn right. Well, I'm going to stop with you and move on because I got 3 people to do, and I would be glad to read for you individually, but I can verify clearly that's what it's about. And what it comes from is this. It's not that you were, in other lifetimes, it's not that you were abused. It's that no matter what, you felt abused. We don't know what the truth was. We don't care. But you felt that in past lives, no matter what you did emotionally, you couldn't win. Go home, little girl. Shut up and shut the door and just do the cooking and keep your mouth shut. And what you're feeling is radical and it's crazy. Don't feel that. Well, that's what an awful lot of people did. Well,
thank you.
Don't thank me. Thank Neptune. And you're right. Both you and I, it's our favorite planet, and it's funny. It's a wonderful planet. It's a difficult planet. And the fact that you have ridden Neptune through the past 2-3 years to victory is an extremely positive sign. It means you're opening up your spiritual channels. It means that you really are aware of spirit talking to you. These are not your Leo qualities. These are not your Virgo qualities. These are your moon in Pisces and your Chiron in Pisces. So your wound has turned into your gift. And I want to ask you finally what happened during your Chiron return. So let's go back to the charts and see what happened there. So if I go to your chart and I look at the bi-wheel, okay, I want to ask you, your Chiron return was the symbol.
Yes.
Okay. I want to go back in time. Okay, there's the birth chart in the middle. No, I'm sorry. There's Sherry. There's the dynamic. There's the bi-wheel. Okay, I got to repaint the screen. And here we go. I don't know why it won't show. Sherry, dynamic, bi-wheel, stop share. Share screen. There it is. Okay, so here is your birth chart in the middle. Chiron has gone around and it returned and it went past. It's up here now. This is where the planets are right now. So Chiron has gone around and passed by. It's now 15 degrees beyond. So let's go back in time and find out when Chiron returned. I'll bet you that's exactly when this breakthrough happened. It was about 2 years ago. So we're going to
Yes.
We're going to
Do
go.
you see behind me? Do you
Pardon
see
me?
water? Can you see on my video screen? Can you see water?
I can barely see anything on the screen at the moment.
Oh, I moved to a small house on a small lake.
Well, I just moved next to a river during a Chiron thing too. So all Pisces events usually lead you to water. Yours was around May of 13. May of 2013 was your Chiron return. See it?
Yes.
May of 13. So let's go back. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm moving my webcam. I was thinking I was going to be able to show you my beautiful view, and so I just moved back into my dining room. But May of 2013, I let go of a large home that was a burden to me, and I decided to sell it, not knowing what was going to happen. And I just decided to trust in God. I had a powerful meditation where he told me everything was going to be all right. And I let go of this house, sold it, moved into a rental, and then found this little dream home that I have that I'm much happier in.
Well, I tell you what, I've heard an awful lot of stories, but I very seldom have heard somebody riding the wave so perfectly. You really have done the right thing. You really deserve the thumbs up, the accolades, the kudos. Wonderful stuff. The thing I'm going to say to you now is I'm sorry I got to move on, but
Oh, no, that's okay.
I'm going to tell you, you're ready to teach.
Thank you.
You're ready to teach. This is remarkable. These planets could have beaten you up really bad, and they didn't. And that's really a testament to you. And I got
God bless me.
another astrologer in the room going like this. So that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
God bless you.
Thank you, honey. Okay, 1 second here. It won't allow you to be muted, so we'll just leave it alone. Okay, Marcia Bud. Marcia's up next. Marcia's chart is all primed and ready. Marcia, I'm going to unmute you. You'll be able to be heard now. Marcia and I go back to 1972, college friends, and she's been in New York a long time. She's from New Jersey, and she's been working on Broadway. And Marcia, how are you?
Good.
It's very remarkable because Marcia's a twin with John, and they're born 2 days before me. So my chart and those our charts are very different. The only difference in our charts, of course, the birth time, but their moons are in Aquarius. And are you the 30th? The 30th?
Yeah.
Okay. The only difference between me and them is the moon was in Aquarius for them and then moved into Pisces and I was born. The rest of the planets are all the same. Of course, the birth time is quite different. Marcia is a remarkable actress. She's spent a lot of years in drama. I'm going to get right down to the point, and it's going to be hard for me to read because it's like looking at my chart. But let's take a look there, Bud. And we call each other Bud, and there's a lot of reasons for that to go way. Marcia Bud, there we go. Okay, now, let me repaint the screen. Sherry was a very moving experience for me. Now, Marcia, I'm going to tell you something. I've known you, and we lived together in '75, and we did drama together, and we made movies and all that. And the years have gone by, but the fact that you're getting your chart read when I've been reading since '78 is there's something going on very special. Now, I know that your you just retired and you just got married. Congratulations.
Thank you.
To a great guy. Something's going on in your chart because it's not just going to be retirement, go out to the farm fields and just go out to the pasture. That's not you. Now, one of the things that's very strong about Marcia is here's a bucket pattern here to Jupiter and Aries. So this is not quite the tight bucket, but knowing my chart and knowing people born in this era, the Jupiter in Aries is very strong, and it's very good because it has to allay the Capricorn. The Capricorn Sun, the Capricorn Chiron. And even though the Sun is opposite Uranus, which is extremely lively and unpredictable, knowing Marcia for many years, I can definitely see in her the great Sagittarian qualities. That's because Sag is rising, and the Jupiter in Aries is at the head of this bucket. Also, Jupiter is the ruling planet of the ascendant. So this is what Marcia, she gives off this cheerleader, puck-like, happy person, smiling, cheerful personality. It comes from having so much Jupiter or Sagittarian energy. Now, right now, this planet has just got hit by Saturn. Saturn is at 9, and Saturn recently was hitting this Jupiter. That's probably the energy that made her want to get married. And Saturn moved into Capricorn in December. So when did you get married?
June 11th.
You got married in June, okay. Saturn was in the area, and Saturn makes us want to settle down. It makes us want to put down roots. Saturn is also famous for things happening to us late in life. So what's going on in this chart now? She has the Sun opposite Uranus, 7 and 12. She's got Jupiter at 5. So this T-square is very tight between the Sun and Uranus and Saturn here, Mars, Neptune. So this Saturn-Mars, 5 degrees, 3 degrees. Here's the Mars right between Saturn and Neptune. Saturn and Neptune are two of the hardest planets to translate because one's about reality, one's about unreality. One's about spirit, one's about being down to earth, and she put her Mars right in the middle. Now, what I like about that shows me that Marcia can work very well on a spiritual ethers. She can work in the ethers. She can also work on the down-to-earth plane. As a matter of fact, when I've described Neptune to people, I always use the analogy of the smoke machine that they use on a stage. When they pump that little knob and the smoke comes out and covers the ground on a stage. That's very much like how Neptune works in our chart. A lot of people cannot handle Saturn, Neptune. Just those two, and you put your Mars right between it. Mars is how you act. It's your ability to move. Mine are very similar as yours, but this is an indication that you can kind of go one way if you're with down-to-earth people who are very practical. You can deal with them on that level. You can also go deal with the artistic type people, and we all know what that's like. That's not a simple thing because they can really be Neptunian. I can remember some of the CAC Halloween parties.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I think is going on with you is Pluto has been all over this area about 3-4 years ago. What's happening now is Pluto is leaving the Sun. It's moving to the side, and it's squaring this Neptune right now. Pluto's around 21. And Pluto is at 21, and it's making a right angle to this Neptune. So really, you're having the perfect archetypal retirement because What that symbolizes is I'm tired of staring at my belly button. I'm tired of looking deep inside myself. I'm tired of looking in. I want to go live my life. But what's happening now is you're going to live your life spiritually. You're now ready to live your spiritual life. Your daughter's growing up, right? So this is symbolic of, I use that phrase, I'm tired, I'm done looking at my belly button. I'm tired of thinking about what life would be. I want to now live this life. Is that true?
Yeah.
And because you're willing to do it, that's why life will bring you these opportunities. A lot of us bitch and complain about being stuck or no opportunities. And what I really hear is, what are you intending? And usually they match, even if you don't agree with it. Marcia has intended this a long time. She's intended it. She's got a lot of good karma coming back to her. So what, in general, as you leave the stage behind, and I know you're a New Jerseyite, what do you forecast for yourself in terms of your wants and your wishes the next 5-10 years?
More work in a helping sort of way, but I don't specifically know what that is today.
Okay. Now, is this something you've been trying to figure out for years, or is this recent?
Yeah. No, for years.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you my opinion, and you can throw it out or keep it. This is unusual and surprises me. Here's why. Usually people who can't find their direction can't do so because they're too blocked. They have too many blockages. I've known you a long time. You don't have a lot of blockages.
No.
That's not your nature. You're unblocked. So my mind then actually thinks, what has she been doing all this time if she's not been blocked? And I think I have the answer. It's not that you've been blocked, it's something else. Okay. I have found that us 1952, 1951 people have Chiron, mine's at 5-6 degrees, same as yours, of Capricorn. Okay. Chiron and Capricorn people are obsessed. Every Chiron and Capricorn people, and it would only be there for like 1950 to 1955, something like that. Only people born during that time would have Chiron and Capricorn. These people are bottom line. They've got to get this area of their life settled. They don't want to hear anything else. They got to get this settled. Well, with Chiron on the cusp of the second house, that tells me that you've been obsessed with providing and establishing the money for your existence and establishing the down-to-earthness of your existence. All right.
That's right.
And in my opinion, it's not that you're blocked, it's that you've been so myopic about doing that one thing that now you got it done, and now you're seeing the road without any blockages, and that's probably what tonight's reading is about. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so what I've noticed with people, let me just say this, and I think I've said it before. I've done a lot of workshops, but no workshops were attended as much as the ones where I do life direction. That's what people want to hear, life direction. And about my opinion, about 70% of the people can't find their life direction because they're blocked. You identify the blockage, you start to move the block away. You don't have to clear it out with bulldozers, just start to work on it. And it's amazing how your life starts to get brighter. The kink in the hose starts to open up. Life starts to come to you and you start to see your direction. That's not Marcia's story. Marcia's story is she's been so focused on providing a physical platform for money for a future. I mean, Jupiter in Aries, being the boss of her chart, Jupiter in Aries, and I know Marcia. You know, hi, I'm here. Let's go. What are we doing? She's the one to play puck coming out of the woods. when we did the Midsummer Night's Dream. She's the one that flew through the trees. She's very Puck-like. So, the other 30% of the people that I read for don't need help with their life direction because they're not that blocked. Well, what I'm seeing in her chart, and when you're a Capricorn, you cannot stop the two main energies of Capricorn, which is duty and responsibility. You just can't stop it.
Right.
Duty and responsibility. And I've talked a lot about what is a Capricorn always doing. A Capricorn is always doing what? They're always making sure. This is why it's difficult for you now, because you cannot use make sure on the spiritual path. There's no place for the make sure gland in you to work on the spiritual journey, because you can't do it. That's the challenge that's going on now. The challenge that's going on now is trusting. And most Capricorns can't do it very well. It's too hard for them. But I don't see any trouble with you. I don't see any difficulty with you trusting the flow, turning it on. I know we've shared some spiritual things in the past, meditation and different gurus and different information. But that's what's going on in your chart now. You're going away from the physical. You're getting into the spiritual. And you know, and I could tell just by meeting Flip, your husband, you know that it wasn't just Flip that guided himself to you.
Right.
You know there was a bigger hand in this.
Right?
Yeah. And that was enough to enhance your faith. Now, I will spend a few moments. I want to look at your sixth harmonic. The sixth harmonic is what I call the destiny chart. It might give us a clue as to what kind of thing is the best for you. So let's take a look here and take your chart and do your harmonics and say, okay, and it didn't work. Marcia, there she is. Okay, there it is. Okay, now let's take a look. The sixth harmonic, I use two harmonics, especially the 6 and 12. Okay, this is the 6th. This is Jupiter moon rising. This means your primary function as a spiritual helper is not Capricornian. Your primary function is as a cheerleader. That's what you're good at. You're a cheerleader. And it's in the sign of Taurus. Well, you got 3 planets. Look at this big T-square and everything's pouring into your 4th house. What this tells me very clearly is this, that your function that you want to go forward with, you want to help people, is very clear and simple. You want to take people who are probably unfortunate, or they're poor, or they don't have the way to get there from here, being a have-not to a have, and you're there to open their eyes and be their cheerleader. That's exactly what I see. What do you have to say?
I don't quite understand the cheerleader aspect.
Well, I don't think, well, I've taken for granted, and in other words, anytime I've ever described you to any of my other friends, I've always described you with the words of upbeat and cheerleader and positive, and this great laugh, you have a great cackle to your laugh.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
Well, behind that, maybe we take it for granted, is a lot of faith and belief. And kind of like tapping somebody on back, let me buy you a beer, things aren't that bad, let's go. That's your power. That's your power. Now, I could take a lot of time and go through your chart to find early trauma, but I'm feeling I have to go with my guidance here. I'm feeling that that's not what's important. Now, here's what I have found. charts, oftentimes natal and six-star models, show me specifically you should be a child psychologist. You should be a analyst. You should be a researcher. Other people are very Neptunian. Let's look and analyze your chart for a second. You're a Capricorn with a moon in Aquarius. That's the 10th sign of the zodiac for your Capricorn. That's the 11th sign for your moon.
Right.
That means you can really think on very abstract, big terms. You're not myopic. You're not just here in a little world. You could think on very big terms. And I'm sure I could sit in front of you and have you blow my mind for weeks on end with all the people you've met and the types of personalities you've dealt with. And I'm sure you've dealt with it with a great sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what it tells me very clearly is you're one of the different kinds of people. You're not a chart that I can find something specific, and I don't think you should look for something specific. Because when you have a lot of Sag in your chart, you have the Jupiter in Aries, you have the Sag rising. When you have a lot of Sag, to be a specialist would be constricting. You need to be free to try this, free to try this, free to try this, free to try this, without feeling that Capricorn urge, I got to stay here and finish this. I got to stay here and finish this. I think that's part of the transition right now. Mm-hmm. Because what I've learned is Neptunian people, and I think you are quite Neptunian. It's kind of like, if you will, God is sending you out as his or her right-hand woman. He knows if there's trouble, let me just talk for a minute. If there's trouble in Ethiopia, I'm going to send Marcia. If there's trouble with the UN, I'm going to send Marcia. If there's trouble with the business, I'm going to send Marcia. Because I know she'll handle it. She'll handle it professionally, called Capricorn. She'll handle it fine with the people because of all the Sag and all the Aquarius. So I don't think it's critical right now that you find the groove, because I don't think it's going to be evident just yet. That's what I'm seeing here. I trust you to go, and I don't need any monitoring of you because I know you're going to do right. Is this making any sense? Now, is it a relief, or is it making you more vague to think that you're going to be free to do whatever you want?
Well, I kind of know that anyway. So it's more of a relief to hear it spoken.
Well, what I'm doing is verifying astrologically. Because people with a lot of Sag, when I try to get them going down a narrow road, they won't go. People with a lot of Sag are at the registrar's office every other day changing their major. They just are. Not because they're shallow. They just want to try this. They want to try this. They want 3 boyfriends. Right. You know, they want to try every instrument there is. They have such a broad interest in things. So I think that the big change that's going on in your chart now is that Chiron in Capricorn. In other words, the big message I'm getting from your chart now is you don't have to work so hard to finish this job or finish that job. Does that make sense to you? You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. And I think that, in a way, has been your obstacle.
Oh, very much so.
But it's a kind of a natural obstacle.
Right.
Because I tell you, the people I've seen with Chiron and Capricorn, all you got to do is look at what house Chiron's in, and you know they're obsessed with it. So what I would like to do is talk to you privately in a couple months.
Okay.
After you get a little freer and you stop bugging yourself and realize, you know, isn't there a tarot card? Who are my tarot specialists here? Is it you, Susanna? I don't know. It's Angel.
Angel,
yes. Angel, you're unmuted. Which is the tarot card where you're chained, but you don't realize that the lock is unlocked?
Well, that would be the 8 of Swords. because the person is like, the woman is untying,
Yeah.
And the swords are in the back.
And that's a
And
mental.
then also the hangman, because the hangman seems to be hanged, but when you turn it upside down, he is dancing.
And the spades or the swords are mental, right?
That's right.
Okay. And it's very Capricornian to paint yourself into a corner. And when I join you on the latest episode, there's little left except place for your 1 foot.
Yeah.
Capricorns are great at painting themselves in the corner, which is why we need Libras. Because Libras are, you don't have to paint yourself in the corner. You have a lot more options. Capricorn says, I do. And the Capricorn can't believe it. So that's what the blockage is just that you become used to, I got it straight and narrow. So let's start to realize what the angel said. The lock is not locked. You're freer than you think.
Yeah.
You're free. And then what I think is your directions will become clear automatically.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it's freeing, sort of.
Yeah, liberating. Okay. Thank you, Marcia, but I'm going to move on to Angel. Thank you very much. All right. Angel, I haven't looked at your chart in a long time. Hello, Marilyn. Let's take a look at Angel's chart. Get rid of these. Stop sharing. All these and okay, we cross that out. Okay. There you are, Angel. Let's get your chart on the screen so everybody can see it. Angel's a Libra. How are you? Before I go too far, Angel, I know you are a native of Puerto Rico. Is your family okay down there with all the recent activity?
No.
Oh, God, it's terrible.
We had to move them all to Florida, including my mom. And so the situation has been a disaster.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Trump, do you hear us? We're very sorry to hear this. Angel, did you notice? I've learned something about a chart like yours. You notice the bucket pattern here, but a real bucket has one planet out here, but you've got two.
Mm-hmm.
You got one over here, one over here. I have learned that I don't care what's over here. If the moon is here, this is a bucket pattern to the moon. And you might say it's also a bucket pattern to Saturn. You got a Libra sun. You got Scorpio rising. You got a moon in Gemini. All right, right away we know this is unusual because you got an air sign, sun and Libra. Your moon is in an air sign. So I know right away when I meet Angel, I don't care what he's like. If I just start talking, he's going to be happy. Angel likes to have interesting discussions with people. Libra people want to talk. They want to have a conversation. Now, this is very complicated here. The Venus, Neptune rising in Scorpio. It's 8 degrees apart, 7 degrees. This is a romantic. This person is a born romantic. This is your ruling planet, Venus, being a Libra. Now, when you go to the ruler of a chart, I don't know whoever wrote this down, but the ruler of your chart cannot be a transpersonal. The ruler of the chart cannot be Pluto, Neptune, or Uranus. The ruler of a chart cannot be Pluto if it's Scorpio. It can't be Neptune if it's Pisces. And it can't be Uranus if it's Aquarius. Because those planets, by definition, are not very personal. So you use their co-ruler. So the ruler of his chart is Mars. The ruler of Angel's chart is Mars. And the ruler is Mars in Virgo. Well, what is Mars in Virgo like? It means somebody who could do things very exact. They got it right. Not 9 foot, 9 foot 1 inch. I said not 9 foot, 9 foot 1 inch. Getting it just right. You think a Libra cares? You think a Moon and Gemini cares? No. A Mars and Virgo cares. I said 9 foot 1 inch. Right? So we know he's exacting. That's in his 10th house. We know in his career, he's got Leo at the top of the chart, which means he doesn't mind a little bit of the light on him, the spotlight on him. He doesn't mind a little bit. All right? One of the difficulties, and I'm going to go into this. This is really powerful right here. I'm going to talk about this Moon in Gemini. One of the problems with people with Moon in Gemini, since the Moon rules your emotions, and it's in a mercurial sign like Gemini, Moon in Gemini people need to aim lower. They need to aim lower, not higher, because here's what happens. The Moon in Gemini, you get bored easily. You get tired of this, you want to try this. You get tired of this, you want to try that. Well, here goes Angel. Angel says, today I'm going to go build this fence. I'm going to build this fence all around the property. And he starts and he puts up 4 boards and he's bored. He puts up 4 boards and he's bored. Okay, now all that Scorpio in him says, get to work, get it done, be thorough, get it done, get it done. And the Moon in Gemini says, I don't want to do any more damn boards. I want to do something else. That's why it's very important for people with Moon in Gemini, and there are a lot of them, 8.5% of the planet. It's very important for you to not wake up in the morning and try to do the whole yard. Just get up and say, I'm going to do the next 20 feet. Then I'll see how I feel. Then you don't feel the guilt, because Scorpio is always about guilty because you're not dedicated enough. You're not strong enough. You don't have any stick-to-itness. Why do you get ADHD? Your mind is wandering. All these people with ADHD is not, there's no disease there. They just got an active mind. So I would give you a generic advice with Moon in Gemini to always give yourself an out. You know, you don't want it to turn into a cop-out, but to have respect for their part of you that's very butterfly-like. It's butterfly-like. I'm tired. Let me do something else. Does that make sense, Mr. Angel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, this is getting deep here. Here we go. Notice the Moon, and you have to really look closely. The Moon is at 2. It is opposite Neptune. It is out of sign. It is out of sign. Opposite Scorpio is Taurus. Opposite Gemini is Sag. So the real opposite point would be 24 degrees of Taurus. So they're 6-8 degrees apart. So an out of sign opposition is weaker. In other words, the opposition is weaker, does not bother you as much as this would if your Moon were back at 29, 28 Taurus. Moon opposite Neptune is somebody who's very, very intuitive. Now, a Moon in Gemini is not intuitive. A Libra is not intuitive. But a Moon opposite Neptune is very intuitive. Okay? And I know he's a fabulous tarot reader. And you have to really have your intuition together to be able to pick up these symbols, just like an astrologer. Moon Neptune is somebody who is not only intuitive, but always feels emotionally ungrounded. No matter what I do, I can't find my background, I can't find my lineage, I never feel planted. I can never feel solid earth underneath my feet. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Now, what this is about, and I'm going to tell you something, you guys can read all the astrologers you want, you can go do whatever you want to do, but it always comes down to spiritual matters. My Chiron's in the 12th house. That's why I always come back to it. which means your past life, your history of spiritual lifetimes left you feeling fuzzy. Well, they're saying all these things, and this doesn't make me feel any better. And the more I study and the more I devote myself to spirit, the more unsteady I feel, the more vague I feel. Isn't there anything that's specific anywhere? Plus, you got a Libra. And you poor old Libras are just not made to make decisions. You're not made to do it. You're made to do what? The scales on up and down, assessing, weighing, comparing. Libra's about comparing. I just read this recently. Did you know that's where LB came from? LB for pound? Mm-hmm. LB is Latin symbol for Libra.
Yeah, because that's the way it's called in Spanish and in Latin, Libra.
Yeah, right. So that's what the pound is you comparing yourself to the scale. All right. Now, what this tells me, I've not looked at your past life, I've not looked at any of your harmonics, it tells me clearly that your past life, and I know you come from what you could call South America, mm-hmm. very religious countries, left you feeling vague. Moon opposite Neptune is vague. And it means that somehow your relationship probably with your mother was vague somehow. Now, one of the main reasons it's vague with the mother with moon opposite Neptune, you see in astrology, the moon is often your mother and Saturn is often your father. Not always, but when it's singled out like this, it usually is. It means my relationship with my mother is uncertain because there's so many sacred cows. There's so many things that we can't talk about. There's so many things we cannot put on the table. But I want to put it on the table. Let's talk about it. My moon is in Gemini. I'm interested. We can't talk about it. It's too sensitive. We can't talk about it. Make any sense, Angel?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, where does that come from? That comes from this BS backward dogmatic religions that were all stuffed with, if you knew it, God would show you. If you were worthy, God would show you, and all this crap. And what it does is it leaves you feeling spaced out. It leaves you feeling like Moon and Pisces people. It leaves you feeling vague. You can't take a stance. You can't take an action. You don't have firm footing. Now, I've just discovered something by opening my big mouth. I had no idea what I'd run into in your chart. But I can tell you right now, your chart is going through, you're tired of it, you're going to put your foot down, and you're going to brush everything aside. Everything, because it's now time to get the jackhammer out and to destroy your old foundation, which cannot support you anymore, and to pour your own new footer. And foundation work is really critical. It's usually Saturnian because you can't go forward till the foundation is poured and it cures, right? Mm-hmm. Let me stop there. Let me get your feedback so far, Angel.
Well, you're right on target because I was raised by my grandmother, and so the relationship with my mom was completely vague, and it was like It's really bizarre because when I was a child, I didn't know really who my mother was. I didn't know if it was my grandmother or my sister also, because my sister. And then when my grandma died, I felt that I lost my mom. Oh. And
may I ask you what year that was?
That was 1980.
Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna put the planets from 1980 on your chart while you talk.
You know the exact date that she died, 23rd of November, 1980.
23rd of November. Okay.
23rd of November, 1980. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And then this sense of being uprooted because I've never I never felt that I belonged to any country. It was like very bizarre because I left for the United States, never went back to Puerto Rico, and then I started going all over. And because I had a confrontational relationship with the Puerto Rican society because of homophobia and all of that, and I wrote that book and I exposed them and I became an activist and you name it. It was like I've always felt that my only nation is language, and that I am like kind of a in the space meeting this, because it's like kind of like I could be like in Berlin, for example, and here, and it's like we are like I belong to some kind of grouping in the air that is like not rooted, and I have no.
Okay, now that makes a lot of sense. Now look what happened to you. Usually when your feet are knocked out from under you, usually when the things you depend on, they're always going to be there, and you find out they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's Pluto hitting Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
Pluto, Saturn,
Mm-hmm.
22 and a half, 23.
Mm-hmm.
Pluto was opposite your Saturn when your grandma died.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was all pre-programmed. In other words, you knew this was going to happen at the soul level. She
Mm-hmm.
knew it was too. And she left for one reason. She left because she knew it was time for you to go alone. You need to continue alone. Now, what I'm seeing now, and I'm very sure of this, what I'm seeing now is your first half of your life, which is ending now, is petering out. It's out of gas. Because what we're finding in your chart is you can no longer find your answers in thoughts, and more importantly, your answers do not lie in how you are socially accepted or socially not accepted. It's got nothing to do with any of that. That's what your chart's ready to hear. Your chart is ready. In other words, it's like stripping your clothes naked, standing before God. And when you do that, you're pretty damn cool. You got a big, pure heart. But you're not going to find it. See, Libra people are trying to find it through their friendship, through their partnership. Imagine how hard it was for John Lennon to find his way when he couldn't stand being with Paul. Imagine how hard that would be.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, you need partnership, there's no doubt, but what happens with someone like you, you have to start defining your society as a bigger society, as a global society, as a universal society. If you keep coming back to the United States in these little groups inside Puerto Rico and inside the country to find your comfort, you're not going to find it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to find it. You know why? Because your moon Neptune won't accept it anyway. When you have a strong Neptune, which is boundless, when you have a strong Neptune, these people, you give them a crystal clear computer printout of exactly who they are, and they won't accept it. No matter what you say, they won't accept it. Because they say, I'm bigger than that. That's not me. I'm bigger than that. That's not me. I'm bigger than that. Well, that's what the hell leads to being vague. I give you a definition, you don't want it. But you do want it, but you don't. See, that's the art of reading astrology, realizing two things are opposite at the same time. That's why my influence was from a Libra, Stephen Arroyo. He taught me these things. So what does this mean? This is not simple. So we better go look right away in your past life chart, because this is not easy. And this is going to become a very long tape on YouTube, but so what? All right. Let's go to the birth chart. Let's get angel. Let's go to the 12th harmonic. Let's see what this past lifetime shows us. This is the spiritual transcript, angel. What do we see here? 12th harmonic. The sun is with Venus, the artist, opposite the moon, and they both go to Neptune. I don't need to see any more. I don't need to see any more. That's why the the harmonics are so easy. What this tells me is this. You have been raised through many, many lifetimes that no matter what you do, you got to give it to God. No matter what you do, give it to God, Angel. Where are you on my screen? I'm trying to find you. There you are. I got so many windows open. I got one good eye, one bad one. And his cataract's the same age as mine. That's good. Angel, you've been programmed for so long, and this is exactly what you're ready to give up now. You've been programmed so long. I cannot do this for Angel. I can't just have art for Angel and have an open gallery for Angel and have a party for Angel because I got to live for Spirit. I have to live for Spirit, and I can't do these things. Well, what I'm trying to tell you, and I'm finally learning myself, is when you're being yourself is when you're doing God's will. And that's a damn shock to you.
Yeah.
When you're being yourself is when you're doing God's will. And that's why I have said so many times on this show, and I really hope it's true. It sounds good anyway, but I say that you don't have the right. You do not have the right to stop God or Goddess what he or she wants to speak through you.
Mm-hmm.
And see, your chart is based upon, it can't be you, Angel, it's got to be God. It can't be you, it's got to be God. It can't be you, it's got to be God. Well, you can't win. So what do you say? Go ahead.
I felt that that after the hurricane, I couldn't give this prepackaged answers of everything is gonna be all right, all of that. You know, I started getting like identifying the prepackaged answers that we sometimes give. And then the other part was that at the clinic, they told me to put the group for Alcoholics Anonymous. And I said, no, I mean, this has to end. This is not in accordance with science, period. End of story. We need to take a different approach. And
what are you talking about at the clinic here?
And so, but basically what I did was I said, we are going to find a new way. And this new way is going to be based in science, by the people who are doing the latest research. And it was like if I would have thrown a bombshell. I said, it's not that I don't respect it, but we need to, this is not in accordance with what I'm seeing. And
okay, now what I want to talk to you about is this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk to you about you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk to you about the group. I want to talk about the cause. I'm talking about you. And in your chart, you can't be you.
Mm-hmm.
Because in your chart, being you means you're being selfish. And that's not allowed. That's a goddamn sin.
Exactly.
That's simple, Angel. It's a goddamn sin. And your chart saying, this doesn't make sense. I can be the beautiful angel. I'm named after an angel. I could be the beautiful angel and be okay. That's where everything has to start back here. Forget this society, this agreement, this law, these tendencies. All you got to come back to this existential fight, which is you're not allowed to be yourself. Well, when you were growing up, what happened to you when you were being yourself?
Oh, I couldn't.
Why?
I couldn't because number one, I wanted to be a girl. And number two, well, I was like, I mean, that was bullying 24/7. And so.
But the bullying was a message that you cannot be angel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But what's changing in your chart now is you're going to be angel, but you're going to stop looking outside yourself for somebody or something to agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I just said tonight with the other two readings. That's the period we're in. We're in this Uranus and Aries period. Where to hell with you, I'm going to be myself. Because it's again, we see in your past lifetime, it's again caring too much, being too spiritual, being too obscure. You know, the answer is always go back up on the cross. Shut up, get back on the cross. It doesn't work. The time is over. The age for mea culpa is over. And you're going to be hell on wheels when you come out because you don't have to kiss the butt anymore of the moon in Gemini. You don't have to be consistent. You can do what you want, and you're a powerful leader, because what are Libra people here to do? Libras are idea leaders. Cardinal air, idea leaders. You're here to teach people how to think. That's why us Capricorn, Marcia Bud, we back ourselves in the corner. Libra comes along and says, you got this option, this option, this option. We go, whoo, I didn't know that. So, Angel, I'm going to leave you very simply with this, and we're going to bring an end to the recording. Your chart, you're getting too hung up in the societal position, the society's placement, the society's opinion. Fine. Go battle that all you want. I need you to rewind, come back to here. Okay? Because a lot of what you're doing is you're projecting outwardly, them not allowing you to be who you are. What's you that have been allowing yourself to be who you are from past life stamp, past life pressures. That's over with. Your opinion?
I agree.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. I'm going to wave a wand. I have no power. People want me to give them permission, and I do. And they go, whoo, and I go, whoo. Okay. You wake up tomorrow morning, and you got no more pressure on you at all, ever. No one's stopping you from being yourself, which I really think is a really cool guy. Just a really cool person who's just absolutely fine as he is. You don't have any restriction tomorrow. What are you going to do with yourself?
I don't know. I don't know. I think that I have the approach basically at the beginning of the year was I'm going direct. I'm saying things as I see them. And you have seen me on Facebook. I said, I don't care if the feds show up tomorrow. Because I thought that's the only thing I can do. And
here is the answer to your chart. Here is the answer to your chart. You are never going to make a moon Neptune solid earth. You are never going to put your feet on the rocks. You're not going to stand on solid soil because you're not made that way. You are hydroponic. You are hydroponic. You are meant to be seated in spirit. Quit trying to put yourself on adobe blocks. Quit trying to put cement around you. That would kill you. That's the problem. You're not like other people. You are based in spirit. Stay based in spirit and talk and open your mouth and say what you got to say, because everything that comes out is going to be good anyway because your heart is golden. That's what I say. With that, I'm going to say bye-bye to YouTubers because this is going to take up all their computers. See you next week, and we'll continue. This is the Unpluggers saying goodbye to YouTubers. Bye-bye.